It's good to be with you. This is not something I normally do. So just in case you're wondering, like, is this guy traveling second-hour speaker? It's not a thing in the church. I'm not sure even beyond the stake that people would think this is like a normal thing. I texted a friend as I was flying over Phoenix and said, hey, I'm on my way to Vegas. Said, what are you doing? So I'm flying in to teach a second hour, and I'm flying right back to Houston. He was like, is that approved? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm doing it. We're going to love it. I figured you did. So here I am. Hey, it's so great to be with you. Just very briefly, and then we're going to dive right in because I have so much I want to share with you. I lived in Vegas back by 2006 to 2010, which is where I met the Georges. In fact, I was a young men's presidency with Brother George, and so we got to know each other a little bit back then. And I worked at UNLV. I taught leadership development, and then I left to go teach at Rice University in Houston. So I taught there for a number of years before moving on to a charter school. I was doing leadership training, then I started my own business, so I do leadership consulting and career coaching. And back in my time in Vegas, there was a principle that I learned that changed the whole trajectory of my life. It was the thing that Bishop heard on the podcast, and that I talked about. It's the thing I want to share with you today. It's the thing closest to my heart because it's God-given. I believe it's something that will change our lives if we'll really embrace the message. And so to prepare to receive the message today, you need a couple of things. First, you're going to need your scriptures out and available. This is gospel-based. Second, you're going to ideally have something to write on and something to write with, because you're going to want to take down a few notes. I promise that you'll receive some revelation over the course of the next 15 minutes that will apply directly to your life. And so as you have those thoughts, I would encourage you to capture them. Because Satan wants nothing more than to distract you and take those away as soon as you leave church. You got to write those down while they're fresh on your mind. Again, if you do, I think it'll change your life. You ready to dive in? Okay, me too. Here's what I want you to do first. I want you to do just a quick 60-second activity, okay? 60 seconds. I want you to clear your mind and whatever you're thinking. If you're still thinking, who is this guy? And what's he doing? It's time to move on. What I want you to think about for 60 seconds is a moment in the past 6 weeks. I want you to pick a highlight, a moment, a snapshot of a time when you were at your very best. A time where you felt energized, where you felt motivated, where you were excited. You got done doing that thing and the energy was through the roof. You thought, gosh, I hope I can do that again. I wish I could spend all day doing that thing. Maybe you built something or created something. Maybe you analyzed a problem. Maybe you helped somebody in some way. Maybe you listened to a friend that had a problem. Maybe you got to teach or train, or maybe you got to analyze and research. Maybe you got to write something and that was motivating for you. We just take 60 seconds and think to yourself of a snapshot moment, and as soon as you have that moment in your mind, I want you to write down as much as you can remember about it. Bullet points, capture them. What was I doing? Who was I with? Why was it so exciting for me? 60 seconds of quiet reflection. Capture that snapshot moment. What was the moment where you just were doing something you loved to do? By the way, don't screen it out. Sometimes I have young men that are like, man, I crushed this video game and I loved it, but he probably doesn't mean that. No, I mean that. If you love that, you should write that down. 60 seconds to write as much as you can about that. You're going to work, you're going to school, maybe you're part of a student organization or a committee. Could have been informal with a group of friends, extended family. Perhaps it was gospel related, family history work. Maybe it wasn't. That's okay too. Ideally, at this point, you have something, some snapshot, some memory of something you really enjoyed doing. I want you to turn to the person you're sitting next to and take 60 seconds per person. You're going to just share with them, here's what I was doing, here's why it was so awesome. I'll bring you back together in about 2 minutes. On your mark, get set, go. All right, let's bring it back together about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anybody be willing to share very quickly? What did you do? You don't have to tell us all the details, just what did you do? What did you get to do?
I had observation on Thursday. Formal observation as a teacher. I teach kindergarten. I was prepared. I did an awesome lesson, something I love to teach. We were doing writing to teach about bees. So the children were writing to teach others about bees. I had met with my supervisor, so I had his input and collaboration, and I was working with these little people that I love. Every year I get a new group to love, and most of all, I had taken care of myself. I had good breakfast, I got my sleep, I was hydrated, and I'm getting my exercise.
Oh,
There you go.
boom, that was a lot. Well done. Thank you. Who else do you want to share very quickly what you do?
So we have 3 boys. I have 2 under 2 and a 6-year-old, and the opportunity came up to bring another little foster child into our home. And I know this might sound bad, but having him, it was both like the highest point of my past 6 weeks and like, I don't want to say the lowest point. It was just very hard, and having him, it just pushed me to like know what I can actually, like what I thought was my limit, and then to like know what actually was my limit. I could handle more than I thought. And I was also very happy. He went back to his grandma a couple days ago, so we only had him for a couple weeks. But I was just glad to be able to help him, and he taught us things, and we taught him some things, and so it was great to have him in our home for a little while.
Beautiful snapshot. Good. You see what it's all about? Snapshot moments. Tell me this. Give me descriptive adjectives. As you got to think about that moment and talk about it with your buddy sitting next to you, how did it feel? Give me descriptive adjectives. How did it feel? Just shout them out. Excitement. Good. What else?
Satisfying.
Fulfilling. Satisfying. Happy. Love it. Okay, what else?
Grateful.
Control. We're in control. Good. Grateful. Good. Anything else? Proud. Okay. Why do you think it felt that way? Like, everybody had a different experience. I don't imagine people had the exact same experience. I bet we had probably 200 different experiences in the room. And yet all of them yield the same general feelings when we do them. Any ideas why?
Probably they all have to do with others.
Okay, good. They're all other focused. Good. Anything else?
Your brain chemicals are doing the same thing for whatever brings you happiness or joy or stress.
Good. Your brain is releasing these endorphins and making you feel good. Any idea why your brain's releasing those endorphins? Dopamine, because I'm doing something that is
Pleasurable.
Let me give you the magic word for today. My hypothesis is that for most of you, some of your situations might not fit, but generally speaking, the reason you felt these feelings is because you were using a God-given talent. You were using a talent that day. Because every time we use talents, it releases those same feelings. By the way, in the world we call that dopamine. In the gospel we call that Holy Ghost, right? Holy Ghost confirms it. He's like, hey, that was pretty good. God gave you that gift. You should use it again, over and over and over. Tell me about a talent. What is a talent? Give me some definitions of a talent. Who'd be willing to take a stab at that for us? What is a talent?
Something you're good at.
Okay, something you're good at. Did he steal it? Yeah. Oh, he stole it, Brother George. Good. Talent is what you're good at. What else?
Something you enjoy.
What else is it?
Enjoyment. Something you enjoy.
Something you enjoy. Something you're good at and you enjoy. By the way, that's important. There's lots of things we might be good at that we don't enjoy. So I'm really good at like Excel spreadsheet manipulation, making them look beautiful, and I hate doing it. I don't want anything to do with that, right? There are also things we enjoy that we're not good at. I really love woodworking and I'm not very good at it. Okay, so talents are both things you're good at and you enjoy doing them. Okay, what else? Anything else for a talent? Something that you share with other people.
Gift.
Oh, I love that word. Say it again.
Gift.
Gift. Yeah, turn to Doctrine and Covenants 46:11. Doctrine and Covenants 46:11. While you're turning to D&C 46:11, let me do a quick experiment. Raise your hand high so everybody can see it, embarrassingly high, if you think you have a talent. Everybody look around the room. What do you notice? I've run this experiment so many times in my career that it's never failed me. What do you notice?
There's some people.
Did you see every hand up?
think they have them.
I did not either. See, not everybody believes they have talents, or they might believe they have it, they just don't know what it is. But a lot of people don't think they have talents. In fact, they feel like when we were in the pre-existence lining up for talents and they stepped out of line to go use the restroom real quick, they got skipped. And like Brother Peterson, I'm here on earth, I don't have one. But the reality is, every human being in this room has a talent. Doctrine and Covenants 46:11, who will read it? Raise your hand high for me. Thank you, sir. Nice and loud. how many men is given a gift? What's the word? It wasn't to many men, it was to every. You should circle, highlight, star, whatever you do in your scriptures to mark that, you should mark that word. Because every human being has a talent. But there's a fascinating thing that happens. I went to go speak to a group of 6th graders. My daughter, a couple years ago, had me come speak for Career Day. She said, Dad, I don't know what you do, but will you come speak on Career Day? I'm like, sure. And so I went in, and she said, you can teach anything you want. So I thought, I'm going to teach these 6th graders about talents, because they got to realize that they all have them. If they don't realize that, they're going to be missing out. And so I said, raise your hand if you think you have a talent. Guess how many hands went up in that 6th grade classroom? All of them. Why? Because when you're in 6th grade, you still believe you have talents, right? Life is still pure. You're like, yeah, I'm good at a lot of stuff. About 6 months later, I went and taught a group of seniors down in South Texas. Auditorium of 250 high school seniors. I stood in front of them, I said, raise your hand if you have a talent. Guess how many hands went up? 0. 1. 1 hand went up. And I said, what's your talent? And he boldly stated what it was. I said, how about anybody else have talents? Other 249 were like, I don't know what's going on. What happens from 6th grade to 12th grade? Like, what happens? And why don't we realize we have talents? I was talking to these kids in 6th grade. I said, what is a talent? Guess what they said? I love this. They said it's a superpower. Brothers and sisters, I testify it is a superpower, and God has endowed you as one of His children with gifts and talents. And today, in the next 35 minutes, my goal is to help you identify at least one of those things. At least one thing that God gave you that you can do better than most other people, that differentiates you, and you can use it in the service of mankind. Before we go there, though, I want to answer this question. Why don't we know these? Like, why is it when I go and speak about this, that typically people furrow their brow and they close their arms, they say, I don't have any talents. Like, why don't we know our talents if these have been with us all our lives? Why don't we know them? Turn to your buddy. 3 minutes. Crack that code for me. Let's come back together. I want to hear what you come up with. 3 minutes to answer the question. Why don't we know our talents? Like, what gets in the way of us knowing our talents? On your mark, as I go. Okay, tell me what you come up with. Give me a raise of hands. Why don't we know our talents? These are things that have been with us all our lives. We should know them. Okay, tell us more. What do you mean we overthink it? Isn't that interesting? Like, the only person who's talented is whoever's the best at it, and everybody else is just skilled in it, right? Like, oh shoot, I found somebody better than me at that thing. Never mind, I'm not talented. As if there's like a zero-sum game on talent, right? Like, one person got it, and it's not you. Fascinating thing. Okay, good. Other reasons? Please, in the back.
Scared to share it.
Yeah, why? Why are we so scared to do that?
Failure.
Say more. Self-doubt. Proud. Confidence. I love all the one words. Give me a string of words, put together a sentence about why.
Lies from
Why?
Satan. Lies from Satan.
Lies from what?
Satan.
Satan. You know, this is one of Satan's greatest deceptions. Look, we all have divine nature, so what's he going to attack? He's going to attack your divine nature, your self-worth, and say, oh yeah, everybody else has one but you. You don't have one. And by the way, when you think you do have one, you raise your hand and share it, guess what's going to happen? He's going to laugh at you. You know that group of seniors I told you about, 250? Spent an hour and a half with them. And we started to identify talents like we're about to do with you all. And at the end of that exercise, I said, okay, here we go. Raise your hand if you discovered a talent in the past 90 minutes. Guess how many hands went up? 250. I said, oh, I love it. Raise your hand if you'll share it with everybody else. What do you think happened? I said, okay, pause. Let's do that again. Social experiment. Raise your hand if you identified talent. Raise your hand if you'll share it. I said, what's happening? Why won't you share your talents? And one young man spoke up and said, fear. He said, because what if people laugh at me? What if I don't think I'm as good at that thing as I think I am? What if I'm not actually gifted at that talent? And so what are we doing? We're burying them. Give me other reasons why we hide or don't know our talents. Got me overthinking, got me scared, fear, doubt, all the Satan stuff. Give me some more.
You narrow the definition of what a talent is. I think, oh, if I can't play the piano, then I'm not talented.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to come back to that. We were too narrow. we only recognize one of the three kinds of talents. And I'm going to talk about those in just a moment because there are actually three and we only usually pick one. Sometimes they start as weaknesses. Tell me what you mean by that.
Like sometimes, that's like, let's say we're not good at reading and like you just struggle with it. You can't comprehend anything. You gotta work towards it. And if you work hard, you become like one of the good.
Talents take work. Do you remember Matthew 25, parable of talents? Remember this? The Lord comes and he gives people talents.
And then one guy varies.
Yeah, he gives one couple this one, couple this one, couple this one, and he leaves. And then they have to work the talent in order to develop it. But one of them is afraid to work it, and they leave it as a weakness buried in the earth. And when the Lord comes back to give it back, like, here it is, just as you left it. He's like, ooh, you're going to a bad place, buddy. That's not good. Because you got to develop them. They take work. Okay, any other reasons? Please.
We don't see the fruits of the talents immediately, so it's just sort of
We don't see the fruits immediately. Like, it takes a little bit of time for it to sometimes manifest or pay off. Okay, any others, please? We forgot about them. What do you mean?
We don't speak after the Lord spoke.
We forgot about them. What an interesting statement. Elder Bruce R. McConkie. All of the spirits of men, while yet in the eternal presence, developed aptitudes, talents, capacities, and abilities of every sort, kind, and degree. During the expanse of life, which then was, I don't know if anybody remembers this, there were an infinite variety of talents and abilities. As the ages rolled on, no two spirits remained alike. Mozart became a musician. Einstein centered his interest in mathematics. Michelangelo turned his attention to painting. Tell me your name. Kristen turned her skills to teaching, planning, loving children, training them, helping them. Everybody had different talents. I added that. Elder McConkie didn't say that. When we pass from pre-existence to mortality, we bring with us those talents we developed. True, we forget what they were, but the capacities and abilities that were then ours are yet resident within us. Mozart, still a musician. Einstein retains his mathematical abilities, and all men with their infinitely varied talents and personalities pick up the course of progression where they left it off, when in the heavenly realms. You know you have them? They're there. And many times you're using them when you don't even realize it. And oftentimes they're just waiting to be discovered. They're waiting to be discovered and developed. Any other thoughts on why we don't know them? Please.
A lot of young people here may know that we as members of the church, we have an advantage in that when we get older, we can get a patriarchal blessing, and the Lord will reveal to that patriarch what our gifts and talents are, and let us know.
Patriarchal blessing is huge. I taught this lesson on talents to a group of young women at our stake a couple weeks back. And I was preparing for it, and I read my patriarchal blessing. I'm 38 years old. And I read a line in there of a talent I had that I'd never read before. I've read this thing so many times. And yet there it was. I read it, I'm like, that's a talent. God told me it. All along it was buried right underneath me. Let me give you a few other reasons. One of them, okay, don't throw me out on this one, okay? This is going to be a little controversial. We're too humble. Get that on camera. Don't send that to Salt Lake, right? Because humility is a virtue. What do I mean by we're too humble about our talents? We don't want to look better, so what happens? Yeah. And then people are going to rely on us to do it. Yeah, I call this aw shucks syndrome. Aw shucks syndrome is where you give a talk in church, and you come down from the pulpit and somebody says, that was amazing. That changed my life. And you go, it was nothing. You're like, no, seriously, that was like really good. No, that wasn't that big of a deal. And you start to back up. I'm like, no, I'm serious. You're like, no, nothing. And eventually you talk yourself out of it. They say, wow, that's a beautiful piece of art. Oh, it's not that great. I didn't even really try that hard. Oh, shucks, right? And as we do that more and more, guess what we do? We talk ourselves out of our gifts. See, humility is a virtue. But even President Hinckley said, I'm confident in who I am. I believe in myself. That's not to say I'm egotistical about who I am, but I believe in my capacity to do good. President Hinckley said that. I believe we can be a little more confident about who we are. So how do we figure out our talents? Any ideas? Lots of things are getting in the way. Like, look at all. It's pretty discouraging. It's no wonder that oftentimes folks don't know what they are. How do we discover them? Anybody got any ideas?
Trying out different things.
Okay, good. Like just trying a lot of stuff. And staying in school forever. Tell me.
I think you can allow yourself to find out your talents and open up your mind.
Open up your mind. I love the involvement of the youth in this sport, by the way. Well done. Like the youth are like in it. I appreciate that. Others, yes.
This wonderful book called Strengths Finders.
Yeah. Tell us about it. What is that?
It's like this little test that you take online, and it outlines there's like 32 strengths or whatever, and it lists all your strengths, and then gives you ideas of where you can go to hone in on those and develop them.
Give you like some tips or some areas to look at. Other ways we can develop our talents or identify them.
One thing we have to change the way we think about failure. Failure is just a way that didn't work for us at that moment. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work for us in 3 months or 3 years. And what may work for me doesn't work for him. And how he does it doesn't work for me. It doesn't mean that we fail. It doesn't mean that anybody else doesn't fail. They just figured out a way it doesn't work right now. And it can all change. And that, I think that your life is very fluid. So however your life is going, it doesn't mean that it's not stagnant. You have to continue to move forward.
Gotta keep developing, right? Any other ideas on how we, yes?
I think we should be free with our confidence, because I didn't know I was going to be until my mother told me.
Yeah, you stole my thunder for the end, so I'm going to put it right here. The greatest gift you can give another human being is tell them what you see. Because it's hard to see the picture when you're inside the frame. When you're in the picture frame looking out at the world, you can't see why you're amazing. But if somebody else looks at your painting and says, you're beautiful for this reason, it's like, I didn't know. I didn't know I could do that. And so the greatest gift you could give a family member or friend is tell them what they're good at. And then when they go, oh shucks, say, no, seriously, you're actually really good at that thing. Let me give you a few ways to figure out your talents. First thing we got to recognize is that there are actually 3 kinds of talents. As I spend my life as an executive coach and trainer and career coach, I talk to a lot of people, and I found that they tend to fall in 3 categories. This is Dr. according to Dustin Peterson, okay? I found that talents typically fall in 3 categories. The first one are called doing talents. This is the most easily recognized group of talents. In fact, when I said, what are talents, you thought of these. Give me some of these. What are doing talents? Just throw them out there. All the arts, good. What else? Music, sports, what else? Cars, car repair, what else? Business, okay. Anything else?
People.
Say, yeah, working with people, speaking, coaching, teaching, that kind of thing. What else? Author, writing. See, out in Texas, I had a kid in that 6th grade class that bow hunting. It's a talent in Texas. Well, that's how we catch our food. That's how we eat every day. I'm so skinny, I don't know if I'm not good. Anything else that goes on the doing side? Baking, great. Hey, there are tons of these. You know what I love about these talents? They're observable. You can see them. You know what I don't like about these talents? If you don't have one of them, you think you don't have talent. And so for a long time, I walked the world thinking I didn't have any talent. I was like, well, I don't do any of that stuff very well, so I must not have any talent. And then I discovered that from talking to folks, there are actually at least 2 more kinds. The second kind are called thinking talents. You think those might be? What would be some thinking talents? Analyzing a situation. Okay, good. What else?
Problem solving.
Problem solving. Different skill than analyzing. Okay, good. What else?
Discernment.
Say again?
Discernment.
Discernment. Ooh, good one. Why do you guys give me all these big long words though? Give me a short one. What else? Totally good.
Knowing how to, being able to think right away of what to say.
Yeah. Good. Like being quick. Quick on your feet, quick, able to think. Hey, what else?
Positive thinking.
Positivity. Oh, now you're kind of bleeding over into my 3rd category, so let's just go there. My 3rd category is feeling talents. Give me some more feeling talents. Testifying, having a strong testimony. What else? Empathy, okay, more. Compassion, love. Listening, trust. Hey, let's just stop there for a second. Okay, I'll give you one more. All right, let's stop there for 1 second. Think about it for a second. Do you know somebody that is especially talented in compassion? Like they do that better than most people you know. They're just super compassionate. Think about them in your mind. Do they know it? They probably don't know it. Do you know somebody who's just really good at problem solving? Like they're the person you go to, like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, let's talk this through. And they can do that. Do you know that person? How about somebody who's really positive? Like when you're super negative or feeling kind of down, they're always like up here. And it's very motivating. There are so many talents. Check this out. This comes from Marvin J. Ashton, Formula 12. God has given each of us one or more special talents. I want you to start to listen. If you're not doing it already, you should be asking yourself, which one is mine? It's up to each of us to search for and build upon these gifts. Take it at random. Let me mention a few that are not always evident or noteworthy, but they're very important. Among these may be your gifts. Ready? Gifts not so evident, but nevertheless real and valuable include the gift of asking, the gift of listening, the gift of hearing and using a still small voice. I don't have that one. I'm kind of yelling a little bit. The gift of being able to weep. The gift of avoiding contention. The gift of being agreeable. Avoiding vain repetition. Seeking that which is righteous, not passing judgment. The gift of looking to God for guidance. The gift of being a disciple. The gift of caring for others. The gift of being able to ponder. The gift of offering prayer. The gift of bearing a mighty testimony. The gift of receiving the Holy Ghost. George, we help me pass these out. Brothers and sisters, there are so many gifts. Brother George is going to pass out a list of some that frequently come up as I'm coaching people to help them identify their gifts. While Brother George passes those out, stick with me, because in a moment I'm going to have you identify your gifts. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay? In my experience, there are really only two ways to identify your talents. The first way to identify your talents is through reflection. When I have a client reflect on their talents, they do it in one of two ways. They either carry around a note card, and anytime they're doing something that makes them feel energized, happy, motivated, excited, they lose track of time, they write it down. The second way is they can think backward about a time when I was at my very best, like a time when time seemed to stand still, like you already did. When you do that, you capture some raw data. And then all you have to go back and do is listen with the Holy Ghost and say, what talent was I using that day? The second way to identify talents is from other people. See, I would argue that if you would get 10 people who know you well from different stages of life, old college roommate, friend, family member, old colleague or coworker, if you were to gather them in a room and I were to ask the question, what does so-and-so do well? There would be remarkable consistency. My clients do this all the time, and actually it's a research exercise from the University of Michigan. You email 20 people, you say, give me 3 moments when you saw me at my best. What was I doing, and what did you see? You gather all that data into a spreadsheet, and guess what? There are like 5 themes that emerge every single time. You're good at this, 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 and this, over and over and over and over. And they look at it like, whoa, I never knew that was my talent. Most of the time they end up weeping, because it's the first time in their life they're like, whoa, I'm good at something. We don't have time for that one today, but can I challenge you to go home to your family home evening, or on your Sunday come follow me discussion, and we just do what my family does from time to time, and look around and say, okay, what does Miles do well? Everybody, what do you think Miles does well? Miles gets to just hear it. And then we go to Hallie, and she gets to hear it. We just share with each other. For today, what I want you to do is this first one. Go back to your exercise you did at the very beginning. Pull that back out. You thought about a moment when you were at your best. A moment where you were alive, excited, motivated. Life felt good. You felt happy. When you look at the list of talents, it's going to take a talent to read it. But look at this list of talents. Look at the list I passed out to you. Think of the list from Elder Ashton. When you turn back to your buddy, take 2 minutes. I want you to start to identify, here was the talent I think I used that day to help or serve or do whatever I did. Turn to your buddy. What talent do you think was on display? What talent did you exercise that allowed you to do that thing? On your mark, get set, go. anyway, we're good? Okay. I'd love to hear from a couple of you. First of all, let me just play the experiment through, okay? Raise your hand if you discovered a talent. Raise it high if you have a talent. Raise it high and look around the room. Raise your hand if you'll share it. Oh, what? I warned you. I even warned you. You'll share your talents? I appreciate it. Young brother George will share his talents. Okay, I'd love to hear some talents. Lincoln, give me at least 2 of your talents, things that you do exceptionally well. You're intelligent. And what's the second one? And you play musical instruments. I love that. If we weren't sitting in chapel, I'd have everybody clap a round of applause for Lincoln for just being amazing. That's amazing. Like, well done, sir. By the way, does Lincoln need to be Mozart to have a talent? No. You asked a great question. You said, well, what if I am not as good as Mozart, can I still be talented? Like, what's the difference? How can they both be talented musicians, but one's Mozart, one's not? I say practice, right? Deliberate practice. It's that 10,000-hour rule. When I invest 10,000 hours in my talent, I probably am going to be exceptional at it. It's like better than most people in the history of the world. Okay, give me some more talents. Oh, good at baking and musical instrument. Okay, who else? Who else be willing to share? Please.
I'm going to be a good athlete and public.
I love that. Okay, others? I love these. You good? Yeah. Did you know that was a talent? Like, have you always known that's a talent? Yeah, you kind of felt it, but you weren't like, that's for sure my talent. Okay?
Good at arguing with people.
Wow, that's
Raise your hand if you agree with that. Like, you know that guy, and you're like, yeah. Hey, look at that, we did it. We did the observation. We did the second one for you, free of charge.
I'm positive and energetic.
Positive, energetic. Okay?
I've noticed over the years, one of my greatest talents that my grandchildren get to receive is patience. I didn't have a whole lot of patience with my own kids growing up. You know, 5 kids, and as my wife always said, 5 in 5 years. You know, that was kind of crazy, but now, over the years, I've developed a patience that I can share with my grandchildren.
Yeah. By the way, can you acquire more talents?
yes.
Doctrine and Covenants 88 says you can. It says absolutely you can acquire more talents because to whom much is given, if they develop that thing, more is given. And to those that bury it, it's taken away. The very thing that they were given. When I was young, I learned to play the piano. I took several years of lessons. I got to be pretty good. Now you hear me on the piano, I'm a train wreck, right? Because God didn't take that away from me all the way, but boy, that thing's been buried. I got to rekindle that talent. Please. You got a comment?
I have great faith, and I've done nothing to. It's just been given to me.
It's just there. Raw talent. Yeah, raw talent. All talent can be developed, right? So let's talk about that for these last few minutes. We all have talents. Hopefully you're convinced of that. Not a person in this room doesn't have it. Maybe you didn't figure it out today. That's okay. There's a couple ways to do that. Revelation, patriarchal blessing. Study the scriptures and look at the talents of the leaders in the scriptures and ask yourself, is that mine too? Like, that'd be an interesting way to read the Book of Mormon and say, that's an interesting talent that Mormon has, or the Bible that Ruth has. Do I have that talent? So there are lots of ways. What does God expect us to do with these talents? Use them for good. Tell me more. Use them for what good?
Build his kingdom.
To build his kingdom. Yeah, that's right. Everybody turn to Doctrine and Covenants 82, 18, and 19. Doctrine and Covenants 82, 18 through 19. Volunteer to stand and read on the stand, but read this nice and loud for the back.
And all this for the benefit of the church of the living God, that every man may improve upon his talent, that every man may gain other talents, yea, even 100-fold, to be cast into the Lord's stone house, to become the common property of the whole church. Every man seeking the interest of his neighbor, and doing all things with an eye single to the glory of God.
Whew, a lot there. Tell me what you see. There's a lot there. What words stand out to you? What does God want us to do with these? Give me a raise of hands if you saw something powerful that God is telling us to do. Seeking the interest of your neighbor. What do you think that means? step one. Seek the interest of my neighbor. You should be looking at the talent you wrote down and ask yourself, how can I help people in this ward with? How can I help do that? Like, what can I raise my hand and volunteer for? Okay, what else does he expect us to do? You said something? Oh, I stole it. Sorry.
So, like, when you're using your talents, you might be able to find new talents of yours, and when you're using your talents for the best interest of others, that they might be able to find new talents.
Yeah. There's two things there. Number one, improve it. Number two, help others. Because they may not have realized that was a talent until they saw you do it. And now they're like, oh, that's a talent? I can do that too. And you can help them. By the way, brothers and sisters, there are two ways to improve your talent. Well, at least two ways. The first is to add knowledge to it. So if I have a talent, a natural talent for music, well then what kind of knowledge would I want to acquire? Music theory. I want to study some books, read some books, music theory, notes on pages, that kind of stuff, right? The second way is to develop skill. There's a difference between knowledge and skill. What would be some skills if I'm a talented musician I'd want to learn how to do? Yeah, play songs, but what skills does like a pianist need? Scales, please, in the back. Read music. Technique. I need some like nimble fingers, right? I want to do some like finger exercises, make sure my fingers can move, or some stretches probably. So there are skills and knowledge you can add to make your talent strong. Did you see something else too? That's right, hey, over there, mister.
I like it. In the scripture we're talking about our talents are part of the Lord's storehouse, which means that the bishop calls me and say, hey, I need this talent. This is something you're talented in. This person has a need. And it's like part of the bishop's storehouse. My talent is part of the bishop's storehouse.
So you mean if someone asks you to play in church or sing in church, they want you to do that?
That's not like I think you volunteered. That's good.
No, I'm just kidding. That's a hard calling down.
I hear you. These are God's talents, not ours. They're a piece of Him. They're a piece of His divinity. Don't you think God has all of our talents in this room wrapped in one? And He broke off a little piece of one of His talents and gave it to you. And He wants you to develop it to become like Him, but it's His. So when He needs it, you should raise your hand. Remember how He said, raise your hand if you have a talent, raise your hand if you share it. Next time somebody says, we need somebody who can blank, and you start to feel those nervous butterflies in your stomach, you should remember this moment and the hand should go up. Because guess what? We're all vulnerable. We're all trying to do this. Nobody ever perfected it. Please.
I think one of the best ways to improve it is also to teach.
Teach it to other people, right? Anything else you saw in the verse that stood out to you? There's at least one more thing I noticed. Please.
Gaining other talents. I think it's a lot of President Peterson ran persistence. He had so many weaknesses growing up, and through persistence developed new talents. You
got to stick to it, right? You got to be persistent to develop your talents. Brothers and sisters, how many talents does God want you to develop? All of them. How many? How many? 100-fold. That's a lot of talent. So in case you're walking out of here today saying, I'm good with my one, I would say it's not enough. When you look at that paper, God has so much more for you. He has things that He wants you to develop. And as you develop those and become stronger, He will task you or ask you to use them to build His kingdom. Any other thoughts on that verse? Brothers and sisters, we've covered a lot today, and our time is short. I compressed what would typically be like a full day into like 50 minutes. But I want to testify to you a couple things in closing. Number one, every person in this room has talents. If you don't believe it, write it down. Don't forget it. I hope the Spirit testified that to you today. Number two, we have different kinds of talents, and not everybody has the same talent. And if all of us will use our talents for the body of Christ, we become stronger together. Number three, Satan wants to take that from you. He will attack your divine nature. He wants you to walk out of here today and say, you were the only one that didn't identify one. You don't have any. That's because he knows you. You have talent. I promise you that. I have yet to meet a human being on earth, and I do this for a living, where we go through all the exercises, and I'm like, yeah, this is weird. You actually don't have a talent. It's never happened. It's never happened. I've never lost a patient. 100% of my talents and brothers and sisters, you do too. And lastly, the greatest way you can use your talents is in service of God. in service of developing His kingdom. Let me leave you with this really cool quote. This comes from a young lady. It was in the comments section of a youth part of the website on talent. And this young lady, her name is Emma Leah. And she says this: "My mom doesn't realize how talented she truly is. I wish that she could only see how many talents she has. She is so patient, hardworking, long-suffering, and meek. She has a pure heart and loves the Savior so much. I hope to be like her someday. She's so discouraged all the time. I wish she could understand how wonderful and important she is to our entire family. She's one of the most gifted people I know." I feel like the Savior is saying that about us. He says, "I wish you knew how what I saw. If you do nothing more today than go tell somebody else how great they are doing God's work." And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.